Hi, I'm Eric Michael Kapp. I'm a Burbank resident, a part-time blogger at iloveburbank.com, and the proud parent of a 10-year-old in 5th grade in the Burbank Unified School District. And today we're going to have a conversation about Measure S, and joining me is School Board President Larry Applebaum.
Hello.
And Chairperson of the Measure S campaign, former Mayor Marsha Ramos.
Hi.
Larry, Marsha, thanks for coming by, or for allowing me to come by and ask a few questions on Measure S. So let's kick it off for those who don't know what it is. What is Measure S?
Measure S is a $110 million general obligation school bond to renovate, upgrade, repair, replace, and modernize all of the Burbank schools.
Great. Okay. Now, Larry, I've seen a few articles about these type of school bonds. There was even a program recently on Channel 7 just warning about certain type of bonds, funding mechanisms for school bonds. Can you explain exactly the mechanism for this particular bond, how it's being funded, the type of bonds that are being used?
Certainly. The type of bonds that are being used are a combination of current interest bonds and convertible capital appreciation bonds. They're set up in such a way that we will be able to fully pay off all the bonds that are issued over a 25-year period and utilize the tax base that we currently charge on an assessed valuation basis homeowners with an additional $5 per 100,000 in the first 10 years, and then after that, as we start paying off the 1997 bonds, we'll be able to take the differential between the 1997 bonds and the $55 per 100,000 and pay off these bonds. All of them will be retired within 25 years of issuance, though, so I think that's really the important information to give to members of the community.
Okay, and the school board just passed a resolution just to make sure that that was clear, the 25
We
years.
made it absolutely abundantly clear that it was for 25 years from the date of issuance.
Okay, so just to be clear, these are not CABs or capital appreciation bonds, which are the bad bonds.
These converter bonds, they're very different than the capital appreciation bonds. They're called the hybrid bonds. They're callable, and they're unlike capital appreciation bonds, which have the life of the bond. These are 10-year and 7-year, and they're callable. They can be refinanced, and I think they're an instrument that is certainly can be used in a responsible manner. Another thing that I think is important to recognize with the structure of this bond is that the debt repayment ratio is much like your own home mortgage. It's projected to be $2.5 for every dollar borrowed in terms of repayment. That's a responsible debt repayment ratio.
Really, the issue becomes you're going to issue the bond. When Marsha talks about a convertible or a converter bond, what will happen is at the time that the bonds from 97 start paying off completely, we will be able to convert those bonds from a bond that accretes interest, meaning the interest is earned but not paid, to a bond that is a current interest bond, which is like any other bond that you buy on the open market, where twice a year you're issued a payment of both interest and principal towards the repayment of the bond. So it's a hybrid in that for the first 10 years it doesn't require us to make those payments. The interest is accreted, and then at the end of that 10-year period it converts over to a bond that, unlike a mortgage that has a balloon payment at the end, all of a sudden in 10 years now you start paying it like a normal bond. And we have enough money in the property tax assessment base that we already take in this district to pay them off, still within that 25-year window, and that's what makes them, I think, very responsible instrument.
Great. Okay. Marsha, Prop 30 just passed, so why do we need this measure?
Prop 30 just passed. The California voters determined and saw that school districts were impacted in a very detrimental way with the state budget over the past 4 to 5 years. What proposition allowed school districts to do was maintain their current budgets without having to accrue additional cuts, and certainly our school board member can better speak to that, I think.
Well, I think that that was exactly what the issue was. The threat to the schools were that if Proposition 30 didn't pass, they would be cutting a significant, I think it was $6 billion out of the education budget. In Burbank, that would have affected us to the tune of about $6.5 million of reduced funding. So by the voters agreeing to pass Prop 30, we didn't have to plan for that $6.5 million of additional budget cuts. It didn't make things better, but it certainly didn't make things worse. So, and it's almost unfathomable to think what $6.5 million would have meant to class sizes and programs in this district. It would have been an enormous hit. So I think it was a real win.
And Measure S is to be used for capital improvement projects, the infrastructure improvements, and some technology enhancements. So that's very, very different than what Proposition 30 really protected.
Right, and I believe we've lost, was it about $100 million over the last 4 or 5 years in terms of state funding?
Close to $100 million between general fund appropriations and categorical funds in the school district. Some of that was made up through special one-time funding from the federal government, but the reality is, in real terms, it's probably $80 to $85 million of real cuts that have been incurred over that period of time that we've had to suffer through as a school district and a community. Because certainly nobody wants to increase class sizes, nobody wants to reduce opportunities for kids, and that's what is and was happening because of those cuts. And as the economy gets better, hopefully we'll be able to start bringing some things back, reducing class sizes, but we can't do anything beyond what the state funding really is.
Right. Okay, so let's talk about how Measure S funds will be used. How are these funds going to benefit the students?
Well, I think that for me, the most important things that we're going to do for both the students and the community is to take care of finishing some of the infrastructure improvements that needed to be done at the school sites that weren't ever contemplated being done with the 1997 bond passage. Asphalt repair, fencing, which is really a security issue when you think about it, because some of our fences are rusted and you've got holes in them. You talk about improvements on roofs that were patched only in the 1997 first go around. Now we'll be able to go back and replace them. Our auditoriums, which at the time were never used as classrooms, now 16 years later are used almost daily as classrooms for several hours a day, yet they're not air conditioned. The kids will benefit by being able to go into air conditioned spaces for that. I think the biggest issue for kids will be the access to technology that this will afford, because that will impact them really on a daily basis in their classrooms. And I think at the end of all of this, the real long-term benefit will be us being able to introduce educational technology into the normal classroom setting and allow kids to be able to become both masters of the technology they're going to use as an adult, and also be able to take advantage of some of the just unbelievable opportunities that teachers have to use as educational tools to connect with the kids where they can't do that now.
Marsha, the signs say safe schools. How is this bond measure going to make our schools safer?
Well, the school district has named their #1 priority is the safety and security of our children. When you look at the outline of the estimated projects, projected projects, of this $110 million, $63 million of the budget is for safety, security improvements, which also includes some healthier learning environments. Portable classrooms, some of them are very, very old. They can be made safer. You need to raise the bar in every level of safety and security. There'll be emergency communications, improved doors and exitings and entrancing. There'll be the asphalt replacement. That's safety. Children trip and fall over them. Anyway, as you go through the list, it's $63 million. So indeed, safety is the highest priority.
Okay. And if I'm a parent, for example, my daughter is currently attending Thomas Jefferson, and then next year she'll be heading over to Muir. How can I find out about the list of specific improvements that are going to be happening at the schools that my daughter's attending?
Well, if voters would like to visit the school district website, www.burbankUSD.org, there is a comprehensive list of the improvements for each school site. And that is available to the public on the website, as well as other information about Measure S in terms of the structure, the most commonly asked questions, and other details that they may need to ask. In addition to that, voters can call the school district and speak to the Assistant Superintendent of Schools and the Administrative Services, Christine Stanton, and that information is available on the website so that they can pick up the phone and call.
Okay, and Larry, I understand there's actually a detailed budget and breakdown for each school site, is that correct?
Yes, the budget that is available has a breakdown based on per site and then per project of each site. So we go right from asphalt to roofs to air conditioners to energy upgrades to fire safety to replacement of portable classrooms to energy infrastructure upgrades, solar projects, and technology issues. And we break it down on a per site basis, and we have backup data available to those who ask for it to show how we researched and got to those numbers in each case. So it's been well thought through, it's been vetted with the board at public meetings, and staff has looked at it, and at this point what we're trying to do is put together a implementation plan should Measure S pass. The ability for us to go out and sell the bonds will lead for us to have an ability to start doing some of these projects, and we need to start prioritizing what we're going to do. So that's being worked on right now.
Okay, so it's more than just a wish list written down on a napkin. You've got some very specific and detailed information for people who want that information. So, Marsha, next question for you. How will the bond benefit those who don't have children in the schools? I know your children went through our school system, but they're not there now, and I'm sure you've got friends and neighbors who maybe are empty nesters or who just moved here who don't have children. What's in it for them?
Well, I think Burbank is a very unique community in that we are attractive to the new homeowner. We are attractive to businesses. And I think one of the #1 reasons is because we have a reputation of outstanding schools. I just recently picked up Business Life magazine, their most recent issue, and when you go and you read about what our city manager says about Burbank, it says, Burbank's real estate market confirms that people simply want to live here and take advantage, and the #1 thing he states is outstanding schools. And I couldn't agree more. I hear that over and over from the community. So many people moved here generation after generation because of our outstanding schools. Certainly my parents did. You may have, and I've talked to many people throughout the community that that's the reason they moved here. Outstanding schools directly benefit the value of your property. So when you think about the economic recession that this whole country, and certainly LA County, went through, the property values in Burbank were not hit as significantly as other areas. That's huge, and they are slowly and gradually moving up because I believe it's outstanding city services, and those city services certainly benefit the schools. So it's a great partnership. Property values are a high priority for every property owner here in Burbank.
So it's a win-win. The whole community benefits whether you have children in the schools district or not.
Right, you summed that up
right.
Better than I certainly could.
Okay, so let's get down to the biggest question that people have, and that is, how much is this going to cost? Could you break that down, Larry, as simply as you can?
I think that anybody who's a property owner in town, if you look at your property tax bill, you'll see that there's a line on the property tax bill which talks about the unified school district. The allowable amount based on the current authorization and bonds that were sold is $50.18 per 100,000 that the average person is paying. We will be raising that from $50.18 per 100,000 to $55.18 per 100,000 as the maximum amount that can be taken out in any given year. So for the first 10 years, that is what is being asked of the community. Once the 1997 bonds start paying off completely, we will maintain the tax base that we've created at $55.18 up until the time that the bonds are paid off. So what it's doing is it's increasing the taxes at that point up to the $55.18 that normally would have gone down, and maintaining that $55 rate until the bonds are paid off. So that the advantage to the community is being able to get the money now, and then the payoff is not so significant now, but as the 97 bonds get paid off, we will, instead of dropping that amount down, we're going to maintain it at what it is. So there's not going to be any significant change in your tax bill, but that additional increment will allow us to pay off those bonds within the 25-year period that we are making a covenant with the community that we're going to utilize.
Okay, so let me make sure I fully understand, because I've got my property tax bill here. I'm looking under Unified Schools, and we're currently paying $140.18 based on a value of about $330,000. And again, this is assessed value, not your actual real property value, so it's about half of, let's say, your market value. So by my math, that's going to be an extra $16.50 additional to the 140.
That's correct.
For the next 10
years.
11 years.
Right.
And then a continuation of this $140 and $16 for another 14 years, approximately.
Exactly.
Assuming I'm still here. That's the true cost. So
yes,
it's a little more than just $25 more.
It's more that it's what we've been saying is an average of $25 for the average $500,000 household in town with assessed value, but that's predicated on the first 10 years.
Right.
Beyond that, when normally the taxes would have gone down, you're going to be paying the same amount, and so effectively you're paying more than $5 per 100,000 as those amounts went down. But from the point of view of a taxpayer, you can plan on what you're going to pay as not changing. Right. And so it's not going to get astronomically high, as some people assert that it's going to become hundreds of dollars per year additional, and that's not true. That's just not what's going to happen. So I think that the important message is we started raising it to $55 per 100,000, which is indeed a $5 increment, and all we're doing is maintaining that continuously until all the bonds are paid off. And I think that, again, a very prudent and fiscally conservative mechanism of payoff without any hocus pocus of balloon payments or outrageous bond repayment amounts.
Okay. So when you see certain websites claiming, it's going to cost the average property owner $2,000 or $3,000, as I've seen out there, I think it's important people understand that's spread over a 25-year period. Correct. Exactly. Okay, but it's certainly not anything like Prop 38 was proposing, which would have increased income taxes by several thousands of dollars per year. It's completely different.
No.
Right.
And for me and most parents that I've spoken to who have kids in the school district, it's a no-brainer. So,
it's quite an investment in the future of our schools, of our students, and it can have a very significant impact. And when you look at the investment amount, I think it's modest and responsible.
So the property owners are going to be paying about $25 extra. What about for people who don't own property, the renters? What about the people who, and I know we have, Larry, a significant number of people who attend our schools who don't live in the school district. They maybe work here. What about those people? What are they going to pay? Seems unfair to me that they're not contributing. What would you say to those folks?
Well, the parents that don't live here, this is a property tax. It will impact property taxes. If you are not paying a property tax, you will not see that money coming out of your pocket directly. For those that are renting, it is their landlord that will see the property tax bill. They will not be paying it directly. And then in terms of those that are visiting the district, since they don't, or I shouldn't say visiting, for those parents that have their children here and they don't live here, they will not be paying as well.
So I guess, and this is just me speaking, not Larry Marsha, I guess if you're not living in the district, but you're enjoying the benefits of our schools, if your heart moves you to, maybe you can open up your checkbook and write out a check for $25 or so to your local booster club. How many people do we have? About 1,000 out of district students?
Right now we have about 1,000 inter-district permits that are issued. Not quite 1,000 families, because some families have more than one child.
Right. Okay. So about 1,000. So if we had every one of them gave it $25 to their local booster club, that'd be $250,000 that would help fund after-school programs. So that's a little friendly encouragement from me. If you are grateful for the schools and the teachers and the level of education that you're getting, I think everyone should contribute, pay their part. So that's just an idea. I'll throw that one out there. So Larry, how can we be sure that the Measure S money is going to be spent properly? Can we trust the school district?
Well, I think part of that has to do with the plan that's in place. The bond language specifies in very specific detail what the money can be spent on. So the people who are concerned that it will be put into the pot for salaries, or that it'll be used to pay administrators or school support officials or teachers, needn't worry about that. It can't absolutely be used for that. Only for capital improvements and technology purposes. Beyond that, there will be a Citizens Oversight Committee that will be tasked with overseeing all the expenditures. They will be given on a monthly basis the expenditures that have been made. They will have an opportunity to ask questions. They will have an opportunity to look at them. They will have an opportunity to actually go out and physically view to see that they were done as presented. They will be making reports to the board on a monthly or at least quarterly basis. At the end of the year, there will be an independent audit of these funds done by an outside auditor, apart from the standard audit that the district goes through. So there's an additional level of audit, and then the district's normal audit process will be looking at that as well. So there's many layers of oversight, and certainly the language is very specific. And with specific language and layers of oversight, I think the community can feel pretty good about the fact that it's not going to be diverted to any other use than what we've specified.
Okay, but what would you say to the people out there, and there are some out there who are like, remember the previous bond issue, and there were some issues with some of that, who just are having a hard time trusting the school board, who feel that, well, 15 years ago they kind of, there were some mistakes made over, I think you'd admit that over at Burbank High School, etc. What would you say to those folks who are still having a difficult time trusting the school board to be able to deliver this project?
I think my biggest argument in favor of beginning to trust the district and the board is to look at the last 4 projects that were done. Luther Middle School, McKinley Elementary School, Providencia Elementary School, and Monterey. They embody all the best of what we learned. We learned that it was more efficient to replace the roofs than to repair the roofs, because all you're doing is foregoing some savings in the present to pay a lot more money later on down the line if you go back and have to redo work. So I think that we've learned from that.
Okay, Larry, you brought up the issue of audits, and I understand there was a forensic audit done at a great expense to the school district. I think Marsha's got a copy of that there. Do you want to speak to that, Marsha?
I do, because for me, as a member of the community and someone who served on the city council, I wanted to know the results of this forensic audit. When you're thinking about supporting a bond in the future, it's important to know that the accounting in the past was proper and looked at very, very seriously. So I was immediately given this report of facilities forensic auditing project, and I will tell you, there were some minor things of which, based on this, the board took and remedied it, whereas some monies was put in the general fund was immediately put back. And I'm satisfied with this forensic audit. And I should also say that I believe this is a document that is available to the public. So
it's on the school district website, or another. Where can public access that?
I think that we can certainly get that placed onto the website. And if it's not right now, I will make sure that it is, because I think that is something that should be available to the public.
I think this was a great investment. It certainly cost the district money, but in my opinion, I needed to know. I needed to feel satisfied.
Right.
And I think the fact that the district was asked to do this and went ahead and did it, I'm glad they did.
Says a lot. Yeah, what I say to that usually is something like this. You can't hold this school district responsible for the sins of the previous school board 15 years ago. It's a completely different group of people. And this school board has a proven track record of being able to deliver multi-million-dollar school projects, and we've seen it with the school fields. We've seen Burbank High School, Memorial Field. And the only controversy I can remember there is some issues with trees at Memorial Field. So you've proven to me that you're able to do this job. So I don't have any problem at all trusting the school board and the oversight committee and the annual audits that are going to be in place to ensure that the money is spent as you say it's going to be spent.
And I think it's very important to recognize that one of the major lessons learned in all of the construction that was done is to come up with specifications and outlines of projects that are very detailed and very specific. And that's part of what we learned in doing those last projects, including the fields projects. The level of specificity was so much greater because we learned if you leave things to chance, things don't always turn out well. So when you don't leave things to chance and you create specifications that are very rigid, it does make for a project that the contractors are held to a much higher standard, because it's either makes it or it doesn't make it. So I think that's something that the community can really take a lot of solace in, is that we've gotten to the point where we understand the critical need of that, and that every project that we do, we have these very detailed specifications for that very purpose.
Okay. Just backtracking a little bit to one other things with respect to how the funds are going to be used, and the bulk is clearly maintenance and safety, but there have been some people who have been asking questions about some of the technology that we may be investing in, smart boards, e-readers, iPads, and expressing concerns about that we're about to blow a bunch of money on some technology that's going to be outdated in a year or 2 or 3. What would you say to those folks?
I would say that, that was, in addition to the forensic audit and how the financing instruments, my other question was about the technology piece. When, in speaking with school board members and getting a clear understanding and recognizing where the state is going, where our district has some demonstration projects, recognizing that some of their technology computers are absolutely antiquated. And then looking at the number in comparison to the overall bond, $110 million. And when you look at the column that deals with devices, which could include these bigger devices with longer lifespans, it's a very small percentage of the overall bond budget. The way I looked at it and assessed it is it's under 10%. More likely it's something like 6%. And those issues are not set in stone. I think it was, as I began to look at it and understand it, they're a placeholder, very responsible, in place for leveraging of dollars, in place because they're looking at what the state of California is going to do in terms of electronic document delivery. So I was able to embrace it and look at the overall vision that the board has put in place. And that's my perspective as a volunteer, as a community member, and as a voter.
All right. Marsha, you spoke about leveraging dollars. Maybe Larry, could you explain what that really means in layman's terms?
Well, sure. There are going to be opportunities for us to do what the previous board did with the 1997 bond, which is to take the money that's available and then leverage it in a variety of ways with other funds that are available from other sources. Specifically, with the money that we can get from this $110 million bond authorization in Measure S, we'll be able to leverage E-rate funds that are federal dollars that are available to our sites. When people go and look at our website and they see the column that Marsha talked about that says technology, that envisions at all the sites putting full-scale Wi-Fi at each site. We currently, in the current year, have 3 schools which are eligible for 90% matching funds from federal E-rate dollars. So where we may have, and I'm just going to use a round number, may have budgeted $100,000 to put Wi-Fi school-wide at a specific site, if it was at that 90% site, instead of the $100,000, it will only cost us 10, and the other 90 will come from the federal dollars. Likewise, there are state matching construction funds that become available from time to time as people pass state school construction bonds. And we leveraged our previous bond in 1997 by almost double just through state matching dollars. And we have opportunities right now to leverage the dollars to the tune of about $12 or $13 million. But as our sites continue to age and opportunities become available again after a 20-year window has passed from the time that people have modernized sites, we will be able to take advantage of some of the things that we're not planning on doing today, but maybe doing 3 or 4 or 5 years from now, to maybe wait 1 additional year and be able to get a dollar-for-dollar match from the state. So there's a possibility that this $110 million can once again inure the district $150 million, $200 million worth of ultimate benefits because we have the funding in place. As it stands right now, we couldn't take advantage of those 3 sites for the federal matching dollars because we don't have the money to match. So
and for me, as the community member, one of the things that was very attractive to me, and it speaks to this same matching leverage, I think of the days when everybody in the country was talking about shovel-ready projects. And that's kind of the way this whole leveraging and matching works. So this bond will position the district to be in place to secure those dollars. For me personally, what I was really impressed with is the amount of dollars that is in this bond that will go for energy efficiency and energy savings and retrofitting. They are going to save operational costs because the schools will be more energy efficient. And those dollars, those investments, not only can they use bond money, but we now know there's state of California money that the voters approved through the last election. It closed an out-of-state business loophole, and I think it's $500 million a year to energy retrofit our schools. We're going to be positioned to be able to take advantage of that. And so our schools will be healthier, they'll be greener, but most importantly, they're going to be saving lots and lots of money.
Yeah, and Larry, we were just speaking about that. Could you just let the folks know, in terms of the actual energy saving costs of like the LED bulbs and things that we were talking about, because that should be cost as I understand it.
Well, when you look at lights,
lighting and have it.
Yeah, you see lights and fluorescent tubes are an inherently inefficient use of electricity. When we are able to move from a fluorescent tube to an LED light tube, you save 2/3 the amount of electricity that you currently use, and you get a fluorescent tube in our district lasts somewhere in the 3.5 to 4 year range on average, and these LED light tubes have lifespans that are greater than 15 years, 15 to 20 years. So you change the bulbs less, they use a lot less power, they don't die immediately, they gradually go down in lighting output. So even at 15 years, they're supposed to be good to 70%. So you can really get the biggest bang for your buck. I think the other thing that we didn't talk about is the ability for us to use the reclaimed water that the city, through its wisdom and through the taxpayers and the ratepayers of the Water and Power District, have paid for getting this reclaimed water to many of our school sites. And the school district has been unable to connect into those lines because of the infrastructure needs that we have to do at the schools to be able to utilize that right there. Reclaimed water tends to be 30 to 40% less expensive than potable water, and at our sites, almost 60% of our sites' water bill is irrigation. So we're sites where we can be bringing in this reclaimed water, that's going to be a big savings for the district as well. So I think that there's a lot of ways we can take advantage of this immediately, and I like Marsha's characterization of shovel-ready projects. A lot of these things we're really ready to do right out of the gate.
Right. So basically, by lowering your utility rates, it's going to be more money to go towards things like teachers in the classroom and other things that are needed.
Lowering class sizes, making sure that we maintain and expand program offerings to kids, where we've had to reduce those over the last few years. So there's a lot of ongoing operational savings that we can plow right back into the classroom.
Right.
So when you look at the operational savings and you look at the matching funds, leveraging of the dollars, and then you think of the repayment debt ratio, the 2.5 to 1, in fact, you're getting additional dollars, so that equation changes slightly when you look at the big picture.
So Ron Davis at BWP may not be happy, but we'll all be happy because there'll be more money to go to the things that we really need to go to.
I will have to say one thing though. Ron Davis has been extremely helpful in working with the district to find opportunities for us to get partners to do solar demonstration projects, of which is one of the goals of this bond as well, is to put some parking structure, shade structures in place so that we can put solar panels on top. Right. And so the BWP has been helpful to the school district in trying to find opportunities to be able to help us save money, which benefits all of our wallets. And that's a win-win for all of us. So I think that's important.
And I was on the city council when we adopted the reclaimed water master plan, and certainly Ron was the general manager at the time. And in the end, the reality is water in the state of California is like liquid gold. We absolutely need to conserve it. So, the partnerships will continue.
And for those who don't know, Marsha was also chair of the California branch of the American Lung Association, correct?
Yes, I'm currently the chair.
Very involved in environmental issues. Okay, so Marsha, the other day I got one of these in the mail for our municipal election. I was looking through the booklet here, looking for Measure S, and I don't see it. I see Larry here. I see an election for school board. I did happen to get one of these also that we usually throw away. Can you explain to people how they can weigh in on Measure S?
Yes, this is a very unique election. The Burbank Unified School District has this bond as a special election. The state of California required that it couldn't be on an all-mail ballot, so it could not be on that first ballot that you show, our municipal election, because it's an all-mail ballot. State law dictated that it couldn't be there. Although the school board tried to get legislation changed, it couldn't happen quickly enough. And so it is on a special ballot with the city of Los Angeles. It's been consolidated. Although the seal says City of Los Angeles official sample ballot, inside you will find the Burbank special election for this school bond. It is a precinct election. That means you need to go to your polls on March 5th and cast your ballot unless you apply for a mail-in or absentee ballot, or you're a permanent absentee voters. So, right. You could be a permanent absentee voter, but if you're not, you need to go to the polls on that day. In order to get the information for the March 5th ballot, if you somehow did not get your official sample ballot that looks like that, then go to www.lavote.net and you will be able to click on the link and pull up your sample ballot and find your polling place.
Great. Okay, so on the back of ours we've got here John Muir Middle School, so that'll be the place where you can actually go to a physical poll for us, but it's going to be different for everybody. Or if you do request, and I think you've got to request the ballot by, let's see,
the 26th.
February 26th, if you don't already get one. And you're going to get something like this, which looks very, very confusing. But all you've got to do basically is mark 275, correct?
If you are going to vote
if you are going to support Measure S,
favor.
and I hope that you will, just mark 275. That's all you need to do. You don't need to worry about anything else. Just mark that.
Well, if you want to worry about the community college board and vote on that,
you're free to do so.
You're certainly encouraged to do so.
Great. Okay. So we've covered a lot. Marsha, if anyone has any more questions, how can I get in contact with you? How can they get their questions answered?
Well, in terms of the financing, the structure, the specific details, the school district is the keeper of all that information. So it's the school district's website, or calling any school board member, including Mr. Applebaum, who's currently the president of the board. And the website is www.burbankusd.org. In addition to that, I've certainly been helping folks, our campaign has certainly been helping folks get through the process. The campaign phone number is area code 818-253-1997, so you can certainly call the campaign phone number. You can visit, if you're a Facebook page member, you can look at our Facebook page, which is Yes on Measure S for Burbank Schools, and we post on a regular basis information, updates, what does it mean, and then always links to where they can, to the school district. So certainly they're welcome to contact the campaign in that manner.
Great. And Larry, I know you're running for school board as well, but as I understand, all 5 school board candidates are supporting Measure S.
That's correct. We're all supporting it, and while I am running for the Board of Education once again, my focus has been and will continue to be up until the day of the election, Measure S and Measure S and Measure S. It's that important to this community and the children of our community, and really future generations of children in our community also. So I hope that people understand that this is an opportunity to do something both in the present, but it has long-term benefits.
Yeah, I think it's wonderful that every candidate that's running for school board has the same heart and attitude towards Measure S. They're campaigning for Measure S first, and then themselves after that, which is unique.
And it's great that so many members of the community have come forward to help and get the information out to support Measure S.
Right. Now, Marsha, I can understand why Larry supports it as a school board member and a parent, also a 5th grader at Thomas Jefferson. But why are you supporting it? How did you get involved? Because there are some people who feel that, you know, Marsha's been talked into this or been duped somehow into campaigning for this. So can you just share from your heart, why are you doing this? You're here every weekend, you're here every evening, you're manning phones, you're getting signs out, canvassing. Why are you doing this?
Well, I think that people that know me and know my family, we're 4 generations here in the community of Burbank, know that we genuinely care. And from my heart, I care about the future generations of Burbank, and I think it starts in the schools. I have been blessed with many things in my life. I am a product of our Burbank schools. I think our schools have served my family very, very well. So if you've been blessed with many good things, you just give back. And why do you give back? Because the future depends on it. And I do think this is one of the most important issues that I've worked on in a long time. And it is certainly one of the most challenging issues I've worked on in my entire life, actually, because of the confusion with the voting dates, because of the very short time period and how much has needed to be gotten done. But I can honestly tell you that this community, once again, is coming forward, is stepping up, is saying, yes, this is important, and is joining in this effort. This is certainly not an effort that I am doing alone. Please understand that. There are many more that have stepped up to say, yes, I'll do that. Yes, I'll get the sign. Yes, I'll make the phone call. Yes, I'll walk up my neighborhood. Yes, I will do whatever I can. And yes, I will go out and vote. That, as Burbank always has proven to me, is where I find great satisfaction, joy, and expectation for a positive future. We have been endorsed by many important individuals and organizations in the life of this campaign. The Burbank Realty Association endorsed us this week. We have been endorsed by the Burbank Teachers Association, the Classified California School Employees Association, the Burbank Council of the PTA, members of the Burbank City Council, former mayors, former school board members, and really the movers and shakers of this community have endorsed this campaign and are supporting us in whichever way they can. And we continue to ask people to come on board each and every day, because March 5th is but a blink away, and I am hopeful that we will win this.
Great. Okay. Well, Marsha, Larry, thank you so much for agreeing to sit down and have this conversation about Measure S. Hopefully we've explained clearly what it is and why it's needed, and answered some of your questions. I'm Eric Michael Capp for iloveburbank.com, and please remember March 5th to vote yes on Measure S.